All right, everyone. We're now on day 4 of Los Angeles burning to the ground. Unfortunately, containment on some of these wildfires is still a little bit on the iffy side. The weather conditions are not really being cooperative, so 400,000 people are in the evacuation zone just there, not at this time. Wildfires raging across California now. The liberal mindset is basically, well, this is the climate change and stuff like that. Just ignore the human suffering and the economic pain and all of that. Don't worry, your home is gone. It's okay. We give welfare to the homeless. It's really kind of messed up when you think about it. Although I have a feeling most of the people losing their homes and businesses in parts of Los Angeles right now probably are insured for fire. I really hope that they are. Unfortunately, over 10 people have now died. Well, again, you've got 500,000 almost people that might have to evacuate. People are fleeing their homes. There's just no stopping it. This is the result of many things. Number one, their unwillingness to pump water into the situation, which was basically a state law sort of call. You've got the absence of the mayor of Los Angeles. I don't know that she's even back yet, Karen Bass. But the real big loser overall is Gavin Newsom. Now, Newsom is somebody that before these events I had said would be on the short list for potential Democratic candidates in 2028. I no longer necessarily think that that's going to be a possibility. While people have a short attention span, and you've got 4 years to go until that election, all you would need is one reasonably well-spoken Democratic primary candidate to bring this up and bring up his very nonchalant, effective non-response, and possibly, wildfire mitigation, brush burning, controlled burning and stuff under favorable weather circumstances to reduce the risk of fires and stuff like that. You have now apparently a homeless dude, an ethnic individual who was arrested because he had a propane torch or something akin to that, and he was trying to start wildfires and may have been involved in, I believe it was the Kenneth fire. That's not going to look good because Gavin Newsom's policy towards immigration, homelessness, things of that nature is quite far to the left. That wouldn't look very good. His response, it is basically, like I said yesterday, it's similar to Bush with Katrina. You've got people in the rungs of power that don't know what they're doing or apparently don't know what they're doing. That much is perfectly clear. You've got a lack of critical resources that should have been in place before it happened. And then you have a very, very lackadaisical response thereafter. It really is a doppelganger of Hurricane Katrina from right here in New Orleans and other places. They crippled Bush's credibility. I think it dropped him 15 approval points, if I remember correctly. Like, it was at least middling, and then, the bottom sort of dropped out, and he went Jimmy Carter mode. And Jimmy Carter just dying, by the way. Newsom is done. His political career, I believe, is now over. He's probably going to get primaried out. The Democrats, by the way, the Democratic leadership at the federal level is fairly shrewd. Pelosi happens to come from his state, by the way. They already tossed Biden aside, which was a mistake, admittedly. He wouldn't have beaten Trump, but he wouldn't have been humiliated as badly as Kamala. That came from Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and George Soroses of the world, some of the investors into the corporation that is the DNC. It came from them. Will they then toss Newsom aside and say, hey, sorry, buddy, but you're really messed up. This ain't going to work. I think they have it in them to do that. You could see an Eric Adams moment. Maybe Gavin Newsom realizes that his goose is cooked, pun intended, by the way. And then, unlike with Joe Biden, supposedly, allegedly, the other day on CNN, and then turns around and says, well, I've got dirt on some of you people. Well, I mean, it's already happening. Why do you think Biden was wearing the Trump hat right after he got, kicked off the squad, so to speak? That could happen with Newsom, too. His presidential ambitions are over. This is career killing. He might be able to maintain as governor and he might be insane enough to actually think, by the way, that he can win a presidential election. I wouldn't necessarily favor him to even win in the Democratic primaries. Should he become the candidate, my God, what better fodder for your opponent in a debate than something like this disastrous response. Disastrous response to a disaster. It's disasterception. Well, you can't get any better fodder than that. What I would suspect, here's what I worry about. I am not a Republican. I'm not a conservative. I know that I'm taken as that or called a Nazi by people that are on the far left, but I am not a particularly conservative individual unless it comes to get your hands off of my wallet, that's my purse, I don't know you, so to speak. Things like that, guns. On a lot of social issues, I lurch off to the left. That being said, what I worry about is that the Republicans will field a shitty candidate. The Unipartyists will get another George W., like a Jeb Bush out of nowhere, 2028 or something like that. The Democrats will be crazy enough to run either Harris, who can't win, or Newsom, who at this point I don't think can win either. And they'll lose, and then we end up with a crummy Republican that's just basically a milquetoast, a Mitch McConnell type or something like that, like a Speaker Johnson, somebody who can't really be counted on to conserve anything, by the way. That's what I worry about. I worry that the MAGA movement might end up suffering defeat in the Republican primaries, but there's nothing that we can do about it because the Democratic alternative can't get elected at all and isn't electable anyway. We're going to vote for Gavin Newsom. Are you freaking crazy? You'd have to be brain dead to vote for Gavin Newsom at this point. A lot of Californians, unfortunately, I guess they had too much fluoride in their diet as children. They appear to be brain dead. Yes, I realize that there are Californian clankers. But you're not the majority in the state. The majority of people in the state are fucking Foucault. Everyone else in the United States, by the way, knows this. So my worry is that Gavin or Kamala gets in there, they lose in a humiliating defeat, but they're losing to some fucking milquetoast neocon or something like that. I'd rather have a Democratic Party led by someone who is sane, coherent, not under the thumb of Nancy Pelosi, who thankfully she appears to be sundowning like Joe, so she might not even be physically capable of running again either. That's my worry, though. Ultimately, Newsom is nuts. I mean, you got parts of Los Angeles are literally burning to the ground and look like a literal apocalypse. And Newsom, he's like, oh, well, there's nothing. Yeah, don't worry. We're waiting for the federal funds to come in. Didn't they have literal Canadian hoppers dumping on the fire? One of them crashed, I think, actually, the other day. Talk about incompetence, by the way, yeah? That's about all. Peace out.